What's the next thing you want to learn? Maybe a skill like cooking, or a new formula in math class, or a really interesting part of your family's history. Here's mine. I want to learn to do my taxes confidently and correctly, without putting it off until April 14th and panicking that I'm doing it wrong and that the IRS is going to come after me and that I'm going to be financially ruined. Is that really so much to ask? Actually, no. Because here's the thing about learning, we can just do it. For the most part, no matter who you are or what you already know, if you want to know more about something, or if you want to get better at something, there's probably a way to do it. So if the next thing you want to learn is how to expand your view of learning and find ways to learn no matter where life takes you, well, you're in exactly the right place. Hi, I'm Dr. Emily Zarka, and this is Study Hall Learning to Learn. If I say the phrase lifelong learner, what comes to mind? A, someone who's got their nose in a book or a podcast playing at all times. B, one of those people who never really seems to graduate and just keeps going back to school for more and more degrees. C, a jack of all trades type who's always dabbling in some new hobby or business venture. D, your friend who's always randomly yelling Spanish phrases at their language learning app. E, your other friend who's always doing breathing exercises and going on yoga retreats. Think about it. Then hold that thought. We'll come back around to it later. When we think about learning, we tend to think of it as an academic thing, something that happens in a classroom with tests and projects and grades. But that's a pretty narrow view of learning. And when we take that view, it can set us up to think that at some point we've finished learning, or that classrooms and college campuses are separated from real life. And that's understandable. Schools are a pretty particular setting, and usually our time there is temporary. Not to mention, when we finish all the tests and projects, we graduate with a piece of paper that says we've finished school and learned everything we need to learn to move on to whatever comes next. Another kind of school, a job, or the rest of our lives. But school is just one way learning happens. And just because you finish school doesn't mean you finished learning. Whether or not you ever want to see a classroom again, you can still learn in lots of places and in lots of ways and for lots of reasons. Because learning is a process that leads to a lasting change in what we know or what we're capable of doing. And that definition doesn't say anything about where learning happens, when learning happens, or what kinds of things you can learn. So let's expand our view of learning. First, let's think about where learning happens. At the beginning of the video, I said I want to learn more about doing my taxes more efficiently and on time. Taxes are something people love to complain about not learning in school. You know, the old, sure glad I learned about parallelograms, it's really coming in handy this parallelogram season meme. First of all, it's possible I was taught about taxes in school and I just forgot because it wasn't immediately relevant to me at the time. I wasn't really motivated to figure out how to do taxes yet. But either way, I need a refresher now, and it's not like I'm going to go back to high school. So where else can I go? Well, I've actually got a lot of options. I can go to an accountant and ask them to walk me through the process and explain what all the documents and forms and credits and deductions are all about. Or I could see if there's a class or workshop available through my local community college or public library. Or I could find a book, article, or video that walks me through the process. And those options are all available no matter what it is I'm interested in learning about. Maybe I want to brush up on some of the other math I forgot I learned in high school, or another subject like history. Or say I want to learn to cook or run a marathon or understand modern art. There are all kinds of ways to do all of that, both formal and informal. If you like a more formal education setting, you could keep going back to school and reap the benefits of that student ID for the rest of your life. Or say you follow the more traditional graduation to career pipeline. That doesn't have to mean your classroom days are over. If you want, you've got options like community college classes, workshops offered by your local library or community center, or online courses and certifications. If you don't have the time or desire to take a full course or aren't looking for quite such a formal setting, you've got museums for learning about almost anything, from modern art to jazz music to sports to the history of your weird small town. Or if sciences are more your thing, you've got science centers, botanical gardens, zoos, nature centers, and national parks. Then there are the more practical hands-on opportunities, like you can travel to a new place or join a mahjong club or watch a live performance. You could do an internship or start a new job or volunteer with a local organization. And of course, you've got books and magazines and TV shows and movies and the good old internet. You've got websites, articles, recipes, how-to guides, podcasts, long-winded rants from strangers, photos, charts, diagrams, YouTube. So that's where learning happens. Basically, you can learn anywhere from any situation or scenario, as long as you pay attention. And when you pay attention, you'll probably find that what you're learning is just as broad. Because learning isn't just about the stuff you're learning. Say, sculpting techniques or the Latin names of insects. That's good stuff to learn, and it's stuff you can learn in all the places we've talked about and for a variety of reasons. Maybe you're a budding sculptor or entomologist, or a hobbyist who likes sculpting insects in your free time. Or maybe you just saw a sculpture you liked or a bug that creeped you out and you wanted to know more for no other reason than curiosity. There are endless good reasons to learn stuff. But whatever it is, the stuff probably isn't the only thing you're learning. Like, I want to learn how to file my taxes more efficiently. That's a really useful thing to learn. But I also said I want to do my taxes confidently and without procrastinating. So it would be helpful to pick up some skills in time management and organization so that next year I don't wait till April 14th to panic file my taxes. And maybe with a less stressful tax season, I'll also be a little more confident that I did everything correctly and a little less concerned about the IRS chasing me down. The cool thing is I can learn that too. In fact, as I learn more about the process of filing taxes and gain a better understanding of tax documents, credits, and deductions, the process might naturally become less stressful, just because I understand it better. And when I understand it better, I'll be able to create better systems for myself. And I'll be less likely to be paralyzed by fear, so it'll be easier to get things done long before the deadline rolls around. And it's not just taxes. Whenever we learn content, there are usually opportunities for all kinds of other learning to happen behind the scenes. Like when you take a cooking class, you're not just learning to make a perfect bolognese. You're also learning that delicate balance for when to follow instructions to the letter and when to trust your instincts and add just a touch more salt. And you're learning the importance of planning ahead, staying organized and managing your time so the dish comes together before your dinner guests get hangry. Or when you start a new job, you're not just learning the specifics of how to do the job, whether that's ordering inventory, filing reports, or caring for patients. You're also learning to interact with clients and your fellow coworkers. You're learning to send professional emails and communicate effectively. You're learning to collaborate, manage conflict, make decisions, and handle stress. Or right now, while you're watching this video, you're learning about lifelong learning and how and where to do it. But you're also building your skills and listening attentively and staying focused, since you've so far successfully ignored the distractions of your incoming texts and the comment section and all the other videos you could be watching. In other words, along with the content you're learning, you're also building skills and knowledge known as soft skills or transferable skills that apply across scenarios in every area of life. And just like with other kinds of learning, you can seek out opportunities to learn and build these skills. And you can reflect and think about the ways you want to grow, implement strategies to actually build new skills, and evaluate whether you're meeting your goals. Like maybe improving your focus is one of your goals. You could check in with yourself right now. While watching this video, have you checked your messages? Scrolled the comments? What could you do differently to make sure it doesn't happen again? So that's where and what you can learn. Hopefully when is becoming pretty clear too. Turns out you've already been learning since day one, and you clicked on this video, which probably means you're interested in learning right now. And if you thought about the questions and examples in this video, you've got an idea of what to learn next, which means you're already a learner and well on your way to becoming a lifelong learner. Which brings us back to the quiz from the beginning of the episode. When I said the phrase lifelong learner, just now, what came to mind? Is your answer the same as when we first had this quiz, or do you want to change it? If you had a hard time choosing just one answer for this question, good. A lifelong learner might be the kind of person who's always reading a book or listening to a podcast. It might be the kind of person who never seems to graduate. And it might be your friend who's trying to learn Spanish, or the one who just took up woodworking and sewing and is training for a marathon, or the one who's super into mindfulness. It could be all of those people, or none of those people, or someone else entirely. Really, a lifelong learner is just anyone who can recognize life for what it is. One big learning opportunity. The more you pay attention and seek out or notice learning opportunities, the more you'll see that every experience has layers. And when you notice just how much you can learn in any given situation, you'll gain a much broader view of learning and all the ways it can happen. In other words, before you know it, you've built yourself a sprawling web of skills and knowledge that you can keep adding to and drawing from to relate with more people, adapt to new situations, make decisions, and help build a better world. So whatever lifelong learning looks like to you, go forth, stay curious, and keep finding new opportunities and ways to learn whatever it is you want to learn next. If you're currently in or thinking about going to college, go to GoStudyHall.com for more student resources and check out our $25 college courses. Thanks for watching.